Hey, everybody. Thank you. Welcome back to another Few Short Minutes, the pod. I'm your host, Stacey Short, and I just want to remind you it literally takes just a few short minutes a day of mindfulness, self awareness, intention, and presence to physically rewire your brain. You guys are in for a treat today because I've got the feisty Sabrina Del Duca. And let me tell you a little bit about Sabrina. So Sabrina is a mindset and movement coach and a dance educator. And in 2019, she took a huge risk following a burnout. Hi, we've all been there, which was the result of feeling disconnected from her 10-year corporate career in advertising. So she left her safe, secure job with no backup plan. Yikes. And began her journey of self-discovery to write the next chapter in life. So, combining her years of experience of teaching dance, leading projects, designing strategies to get results, she started her own coaching company in 2020, Me Too, empowering you to unlock your potential, set meaningful goals, and navigate life's challenges with resilience and courage. We all need that. Just like she did. So she's been there, done that, friends. She encouraged you to rewrite your life and start this new and exciting chapter with confidence. She is also the podcast host of her own podcast called Get Into Flow. And she's using her voice and love for public speaking to provide practical tools and help shift people's mindsets to take inspired action. Sabrina, thank you so much for your time and being here. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Stacey. Thank you for having me. How exciting to be on your show. Thank you for that beautiful intro as well. Yes, hearing it back is always interesting,
Isn't it
right? When
weird?
we hear it's a little weird,
It
but it's
is.
also very empowering because, like, yeah, hey, I did do that. I did navigate my life challenge of burnout, and here I am sharing my story in hopes of inspiring others who might be experiencing the same thing.
I love that that's your story. I hate that you had to go through it, but I love that that is your story because I feel sometimes in this industry, for those of you that don't know, I have two jobs. I have multiple jobs, but two main jobs. So I have my private coaching business, but I also contract with a business that builds businesses for coaches. So I actually coach a lot of coaches. And what I see in that is they're trying to coach on something they've never lived through. And so that
Mm.
creates a ton of imposter syndrome
Oh,
because they're
yeah.
trying to teach and coach from a point of like book knowledge,
Right.
not wisdom and soul knowledge. So I hate that you burned out, but I love that that's now what you're using to drive your coaching business is that experience because that comes from a place of true authenticity.
Right. Agreed. And when I was building my coaching business, in the beginning, it was a goal of I just want to help people. I didn't know how, I didn't
Yeah.
know in what way, but I just want to help people. And the intuition I felt towards helping them through burnout was from a place of, well, I've been there. I don't want anyone else to go through it. Or if they're going through it, let me help them get through it a little quicker or a little
Yep.
easier and learn from my own mistakes. And so I totally get how, if you're coaching from a place that you don't know, definitely imposter syndrome, definitely so much more effort and struggle and energy that you don't need to be putting in that area. So
Yeah.
when I was building my business, I was also asking myself these questions of what do I feel most confident coaching in? What have I experienced or what do I wish I had at the time was the main
Mm-hmm.
question. And so I became the person I wish I had through that experience.
Yeah, absolutely my same story. Absolutely my same story. I became the coach that I needed 10 years ago.
Yep.
For
Yep.
sure, for sure. Talk about burnout. I don't know
Yeah.
that everybody understands it. So what's your definition? How did you know that you were there? And then what was like that decision, that fork in the road? What did that look like for you?
Mhm. At the time when I was going through it, I didn't know what it was. I I knew how I felt. I was
Which was yeah.
feeling yeah, I was feeling exhausted, drained, disconnected from my purpose and my job, but burnout wasn't necessarily talked about as freely 5 years ago as it is now. And I'm happy we're talking about it now because it's a reality that all of us have been through, not realizing we have. So the other problem was when the word burnout would occur or would be spoken, there's a stigma around it, right? Burnout meaning, well, you can't go through burnout because then when you go to get rehired, that's going to be on your resume or your record. And anyways, it's like this whole thing around the bad part of burnout. But let's be honest, burnout is a reality. We all go through it. It's how we get through it and get to the other side and build that resilience is what makes us stronger. So I actually feel that someone who's been through burnout, you can actually become a stronger version of yourself, and it gives you an opportunity to set a new path like I did. But going back to that feeling, so exhausted, drained, disconnected, not creative, my mood, I was irritated, I was anxious, I was stressed. For me at the time, I was like, well, I just need a vacation. Right? Like I just need a break. So I took that vacation and I came back to work. And after one day, those feelings came right back. I was able to disconnect when I was away and I was able to get back to my authentic self, but I went back to work. And that's when I realized that it was the nature of the job that was not going to change that was affecting me. And trust me, Stacey, when I tell you, I tried to change the job. I tried, I asked for
I'm sure.
help, I asked for this and that. I tried to make the job into something that would support me. But that's when I realized that, wait a second, the job is what it is. I'm the one who's evolved, and that's okay. So until I was okay with needing that change and giving myself permission to now find something different, that was a whole process in itself, by the way. But if
I'm
you
sure.
feel that disconnection and you've been raising the flags and asking for help and nothing is changing, that's when you have to start asking yourself, do I want to stay in this situation? Do I decide? Do I choose to stay in this situation that is maybe not benefiting me, but it is safe, it's secure, it's comfortable, it's familiar. It's not comfortable, sorry. It's familiar,
Yeah,
right?
it's familiar.
It's familiar. Do I stay in this familiar space even if I'm not happy, or do I take a risk and I find something new? And that's what I had to ask myself and give myself permission to explore what else I could do, which is a whole other aspect to the conversation because that's definitely difficult to put yourself through and to just,
Yeah.
embrace and lean into that fear. But burnout, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise. It occurs at a time where we are perhaps resisting change. Maybe change is coming about in a different way, but we're resistant to it. So all of that energy and that effort makes us drain because we're trying so hard to make a current situation work and it just isn't working anymore for us. So I feel like that's an opportunity to look at the situation differently.
And I hear a lot of parallels with that in relationships too.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's interesting. I just kind of connected those dots of like trying to fit yourself into places where maybe you're not meant to be any longer, whether
Yeah.
it's romantic, professional, platonic, and
Right.
you're like twisting yourself. And you're like, why isn't this working? You can have relationship burnout too. It's not just a professional thing.
Totally. Totally. It's forcing yourself in these places where you no longer belong. And it's okay that we don't belong there anymore. Because that was one thing. And I keep repeating that because that's something that held me back. I was very resistant to the idea that it's okay for me to change because I made this decision early in life about my career. And, we're taught early that we stick to that job, we stick to that path.
Yep.
And who am I to question this path because it's done so well for me up until now? And it's been amazing and it's great on paper. So then the guilt comes in, the shame comes in of even questioning, well, everything is great. Why do I want to change? Why do I want to rock the boat? Like it's smooth sailing right now. But that little feeling, that gut visceral reaction within myself was something, there's something more. There has to be something more for me than this.
Yeah, I absolutely used to walk around my house at night and think that too. And
Yeah.
be like, this cannot be it. Like, this cannot be all my life is meant to be. This isn't it. And
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I didn't know. I just knew it wasn't this. And I
Right.
felt terrible because I had the husband, the 2 kids, the 2 dogs, the nice house with the swimming pool, like, I had, cars, I had a job, and, like, I was, like, miserable, though,
Yeah.
absolutely miserable, and I
Mhm.
couldn't figure it out. And I'd come home from work because I work swing, and so, that's a whole time period, and I'd come home to a quiet house, and I'd be like, "What? This isn't it. This I can't.
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. I am not happy. There's got to be something more out there, but I just didn't
Mhm.
know. I had no clue what it was. So
Yeah.
how did you discover coaching? Like you knew it wasn't advertising.
Right.
You're like, okay, it's not this any longer. But
Right.
there's a million things that it could be. So how did you figure it
Mhm.
out that it was this?
I had to do some soul searching, some healing. I had help. I hired a coach to just guide me in a direction. She asked me all the right questions. And for me, it was getting back to my strengths and what I'm good at, what I love, what I'm passionate about. So, really figuring out what is that combination to be able to help me through this next chapter of my life. And like I had said earlier, my only goal was I want to help people. But I mean, you can help people in a million different ways. So, based on my experience, my knowledge, what am I good at? What have I gained over, all the years that I've been working both in advertising and teaching dance because that played a huge role as well, right? As a dance teacher. So, that really helped me narrow down and say, you know what? Let's try this coaching because if I can help people go through burnout and change careers and find themselves again, that will fulfill me. And a main component that was missing in my advertising career towards the end was I just felt that all the work that I was doing, even if I was helping people in that respect of like, okay, we're building campaigns to launch your products or we're branding your new restaurant and business, I felt that a it wasn't personal enough. It was something that wasn't allowing me to really feel like I was making a difference, and I
Which
wanted
is
to make.
fascinating because those are people's lifelong dreams that you were
Yeah.
helping come true, launching a
Yes.
restaurant, launching a brand, and still it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
enough. That's fascinating.
It wasn't enough. I felt it wasn't personal enough because I felt I wasn't able to help change a person's being, mindset, and only now I'm able to use the word mindset. At the time, I didn't know, but helping them instill their confidence. But you're right, Stacey, like, I was helping them fulfill their dreams. Like, someone
Yeah.
who wants to launch a restaurant, right? Like, and I was helping them with their branding and the colors and the architecture and the this and that, like, helping their dream come to life. But that wasn't the area that I felt was fulfilling for me. And so I wanted to get real deep and personal with these people. And through working with these clients, one of the strengths that I found I had was getting to know them on a personal level and being there as a sounding board and helping them find solutions. So in a way I was doing the coaching work already, not knowing, and that was the part of the job that really did light me up because I was able to see that I was making a difference with them. Like, let's say they were struggling something about budget or something about like making a decision. I was able to talk them through like, okay, what are your goals? How can you make this decision with confidence? And now looking back, I was like, hey, I was kind of coaching, but from a
Yeah.
different lens, a different
Yeah.
angle. But definitely that's what I wanted to have more of in my life.
Yeah. I think most coaches look back and go, oh, wait a minute. I've been doing this. Usually, I'll be like, how long have you been coaching? And they'll be like, oh, I just got my certification 6 months ago. And I'm like, that's not what I asked. I didn't say, when were
Yeah,
you certified? I said, how
right.
long have you been coaching?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like high school? Like, yeah,
Uh,
I know. Middle
yeah.
school? Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's how far back I can remember is middle school, is, like, because I was always the advice friend. I was
Yes.
always the one that people came to of like, what should I do in this situation? You know, and I'd be like,
Totally.
what do you want to do? I don't know. Talk to me. And
Yeah.
I had no clue that I was coaching, no
Yeah.
clue. And it was fascinating when I really delved into the industry and I was like,
Right.
holy shit, I've been doing this. I've been doing this since I was 12. Like,
Yeah.
it is wild.
Hmm.
Um,
I could
yeah,
definitely relate
which
to that. Yeah.
yeah, I bet,
Yeah.
and I think it's funny where I hear it come through in the advertising thing. I, I've run restaurants for 20 plus years, and so I know that struggle. And
Yeah.
yeah, the most recent one was a chef-driven, chef-owned, operated in downtown Vegas, and yeah, it was fascinating watching all that come together, and I could see looking back now where coaching would have been really helpful for them. And so God, I know that struggle so well. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's fascinating that you were coaching them through things and you just didn't even know that that's what you were doing. You were just being you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
uh I think that that's why people flock to this industry, is that
Agreed.
there are some outliers that are like, "Oh, I can make a ton of money and work 20 hours a week." No, no, you cannot.
You
No, you
cannot.
cannot. That is not how the way it works. You cannot.
No.
I have worked 7 days a week for the last 2 months straight.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, my friends. It just means like I have stuff to do every day of my business. It's a Saturday right now, and we're
Right.
recording this
Right.
for, a podcast that comes out on a Thursday. And so, like, there's no days off. There's no days off.
No days
There's
off.
no day off.
No.
No. Yeah. And so those people weed out pretty quickly. The ones that are like, oh, I'll have all the time freedom and all the abundance. No, no, you will not.
No.
No, you will not.
No.
That's not true.
I
That
mean,
is not true.
I got into this also because, yes, I want to help people, but I was excited to make my own schedule. Coming out of corporate and, being an entrepreneur, I was like, "I'll get to make my own schedule." Then I realized that means working all day every day. That's my schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
means we're always working, no days off, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. The only benefit to this is I don't feel guilty when I have to take off, like, for my car to
Exactly.
go in the shop or the kids are sick or like whatever. Like, there's no guilt there any longer
Right,
because I only answer to myself.
right.
Um, like, that's the only benefit right now. Otherwise, man, I work harder now than or longer hours than I
Mhm.
ever did sitting at a desk in a
Same.
cubicle ever, ever.
But
And it is
but
wild.
there's a satisfaction, let me know if you agree, Stacey. There's a satisfaction in knowing that this is at least our business, like, you're doing it for
Oh,
yourself. So I don't mind, like, it's a Saturday and this is fun for me, right? Whereas
yeah,
in my old
that's
job, you ask me to work on a Saturday, are you crazy? Like, no.
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. This is fun. And so
Mhm.
it doesn't bother me. I don't mind. I don't mind, having evening appointments.
Right.
I've got a group that I'm running at 7 o'clock and a group that I'm running at 6 o'clock at night. And I don't
Mhm.
care. It doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
Because I love to see people win. I love to see people have epiphanies. It's
Yeah.
literally my second favorite thing in the world next to my kids and my dogs.
Mhm.
Like, so next to my family. And any way I can facilitate that, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. I don't mind. Not so fun is like, for me anyway,
Mhm.
are like, marketing emails. That's just kind of
Mm.
boring. I don't have fun
Mm.
with that. It's a
Mhm.
necessary evil. So I try to employ AI as much as possible to make it go faster.
Right.
Because why not? It's available
Yeah.
now. It's a tool. It's still my words going in. I still edit it,
Right.
right? So it is me. It's still me. It's not somebody else doing it for me. But man, uh, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't.
Yeah.
That isn't so fun. But the
Yeah.
rest of
I
it, yeah,
agree.
most of the rest of it's good. Yeah, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Talk about how you use your advertising now. Your that background, and you've carried it into your coaching because that's a unique set of skills that a lot of us don't have. That we have to learn then while we're coaching, which is like piling on some extra stuff, right? So
Right.
how have you converted your back skill sets to your present skills?
It was definitely helpful when I was building my business and my brand. So the strategic portion of, what's my mission? What's my purpose? What's my goal? Who am I speaking to? My audience, and then my logo and the creative side of it, the marketing side of it as well. So I didn't realize that all those skills were in there. So sometimes when you do something for so long, like, yes, a 10-year career in advertising, you're going through the motions day in, day out, right? But then when I left and I went to do that kind of marketing and branding work for myself, I was pleasantly surprised that all that information was still there, that it was still within me, and I was able to do something that I was doing for everybody else for so long and do it for myself. So that helps with the promotion, even though when it comes to my podcast and the artwork and my posts and my social media. So that side is not as stressful as I can imagine it would be for somebody who is not used to putting themselves out there and not used to
Yeah.
branding and not used to creating artwork. So that's definitely a bonus that I feel has helped me when it comes to coaching. Building my website, it was a lot of work, but it wasn't stressful for me because I had the framework. I had the background of doing that for clients for so long. And now it was exciting because I was like, hey, I'm doing it for me. That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're like, I get to put whatever I want on here.
Yeah,
And not have to ask anybody, is this okay?
exactly.
Just ask myself. That is
Yeah.
exciting. That is exciting. Talk about the lesson. Like, what's a really hard question that you've had to ask yourself between discovering the burnout and then today in order to move forward?
Who am I at the core? And who do
Mm.
I want to be?
And are those two people two different people? Or is it a
They
matter of
were.
just presenting them more? They were?
They
Okay, talk
were.
about that.
I think who am I at the core? I didn't ask myself and I didn't know. So I was just going along with the decisions that I had made in my life, which were great decisions because no regrets. Everything really was, all the decisions I've made have always been from my heart. Yes, sometimes I'm in my head and I overthink, but just deciding to, for example, I was a good student in school. Like I was one of those kids who would study hard and straight A's, and it was very important for me. But I decided when I graduated to go into dance first instead of something that would support or, be with my studies. And obviously, the unpopular opinion was I want to be happy. I want to dance from my heart. Like I went into a dance studio. Um, so those decisions were always like I was always able to make decisions from my heart, but definitely there were times where I would just get caught up with the momentum and just keep flowing. And then I would have to stop and ask myself, which I did a few years later, saying, okay, well, is this what I want to do? Because then that got difficult. And I decided, no, you know what? In my heart, I've always wanted to try advertising. So I did it. I went back, and that's when I started my advertising career. And then 10 years later, I had to ask myself that same question. Okay, who am I? Remind myself, who am I at the core? And did I get caught up with the movement of this industry? And did I lose myself along the way? And the answer was yes. So then I had to ask myself, okay, who am I really at the core? And who is it that I want to become? And some of those values were still there. Like I am empathetic, I am compassionate, I am kind, I wanna help people, like, that was always there, but how can I just present it in a way that's a little more in my benefit and in everyone else's benefit as well from this coaching standpoint? So those kind of questions are hard because sometimes we have to be honest and be like, okay, no, well, this I was doing it for the money and I wasn't doing it for, the love and the passion. Like, yeah, okay, because we have bills to pay. And that's why I was
Yeah.
so unhappy in certain jobs or even teaching jobs. Like I took teaching jobs because I had to and I had to do it for the money, but I was miserable. So asking yourself questions of like, who am I? Why am I doing this? Who is it that I want to become? And really getting honest and raw with yourself.
Yeah, it's that radical honesty and saying the hard things out loud that
Yeah.
is so powerful. And I think in addition to who am I, who do I want to become, and why am I doing this? The next question I would ask, who am I doing this for?
That's a good one.
Who am I doing this for? Because
Yeah.
I know I was driven for many, 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 many years. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I make no bones about that. So
Mm,
I was doing it for the benefit of literally everyone else and not
yeah.
myself. Ever,
Yeah.
ever. I was literally doing it for the external validation because I didn't know how to do that on my own.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
Same.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, asking that, "Who am I actually doing this for?" is really telling, because if the answer is my partner, my parents, my friends, my kids, then
Yeah.
you're not being self-driven, and you're not showing any self-care, self-compassion, or self-love, because you're not putting yourself first, and that is really difficult, I think, still for women, some men too, absolutely,
Mhm.
and theys. I'm
Mhm.
not trying to discriminate, but I just see it a lot in the women that surround me in my life of like, well,
Definitely.
if I don't do it, who will? I
Right.
don't know. Who
But
will?
it doesn't have to be you. Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Who said you had to
Yeah.
pick that up and
Mhm.
carry it? It's heavy. Put it down.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that who am I doing this for would be a great question in that line. Um,
Agreed.
of being radically honest with yourself about, okay, where is this direction going, and
Yeah.
do I really want it to go that way?
Exactly. Absolutely, I agree. I think that's an important question to ask ourselves, and we do get caught up in doing it for everybody else. The people pleasers, myself included. I found that I made even if I made the decision initially for myself, then I got caught in the trap of staying somewhere because I was pleasing others. So recognizing that as well and recognizing that, hey, like my intention has changed and that's okay. So maybe let's look at this and say, am I still happy? Am I still doing this for myself? But if I'm just staying here to please others, so I was staying in my corporate job to please my bosses and my clients because I had
Yeah,
responsibilities, to please my parents because they had their opinions when it came to what do you mean you're going to leave your job?
yeah,
But I wasn't doing it for myself anymore. So definitely a great question to ask. I agree.
yeah, absolutely. I definitely have had that feeling over the years of like, oh, well, they've been so nice, and what will they do without me, and
Yeah.
what's going to happen to the people that I took care of all those years or whatever, and it's like they'll figure it
You'll
out.
figure it out. You
They'll
don't need to
figure
take
it
that
out.
burden on yourself. They'll figure it
Mm-mm.
out.
No, if you know it's time to go, go.
Mhm.
It is okay. But you really have to be honest with yourself, really freaking honest with
Right.
yourself about why are you there? Why do you stay? And if the answer is for somebody else, it's the wrong reason. It's the wrong
Right.
reason. And you guys, like, I get it. I definitely have had pay the bills jobs over the years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you can have a pay the bills job and then also start something that you love. And maybe you got to keep
Totally.
the pay the bills job for a
Right.
while.
Right.
I did it for almost 3 years while I built this.
Yeah.
And then one day you can go, this is kind of scary, but it might be time. And then take that leap. And you did it too. So talk about
Yeah.
that leap for you.
Yes. So for me, I did the riskiest move, the most risky move by leaving my corporate job without a backup.
Oof.
Yes, and I know that in my situation, I'm single, no children, so someone who maybe has a family would not be able to do that, and I totally get it. So my circumstances led me to take that decision and to be able to leave. I took the summer because it happened over the summer. I took the summer to heal. Luckily, I had savings that I was able to use to keep me going throughout the summer. because I did have a mortgage to pay. I did have my bills to pay, right? But then at one point, I had to start asking myself, okay, what am I going to do? Because we can't, like, the savings are going to run out. We got to get back into it. So there was a drive and a motivation of, okay, well, I need to keep living and make some money. So what am I going to do? I ended up starting with the familiar, which was getting back into teaching dance. So even, if you're listening and you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Think of what are some things that you're good at? What are some jobs that you can take on the side, like a part-time, even like go work at a coffee shop, go work at a bookstore if you like that. Like, what are little jobs that you could take on just to keep yourself going and give you peace of mind while you build your business? And with some of my clients that I work with, a lot of them are thinking about making that leap, and I'll ask them that question, right? Like, either you stay like you did, Stacy, you stay in your job as long as you need to get yourself and your business going, or you decide to switch jobs if the job is no longer working for you, your corporate job, and it's toxic and you need to leave right away, do so. But then do you need to take a part-time job on the side as you build your business? So there's that option. And then look at what's going to cause the least amount of stress in your life. So again, if you need to go to that coffee shop, don't think of it as a demotion or a step down. Think of it as a way to help yourself keep afloat while you put your creativity and your energy into building your business or taking that next step or writing your new chapter. So
Yeah,
I would,
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I love that of like just normalizing, stepping back. Just because you've
Yeah,
been a VP doesn't mean you can't be a barista again. There's no fall
exactly.
in that. There's no shame in that. There's no
No,
demotion in that. It's a matter of peace of mind and peace, which money cannot buy. I don't care how,
agreed.
Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon, those probably are some of the most stressed out MFers in the world because
Oh,
they
yeah,
literally got the weight of that whole big ass company on them. And
totally.
I don't envy them for that reason. I
No,
don't care how many billions they have. I can only imagine what their cortisol levels look like.
my
They're
goodness.
probably not they're probably not great. Um, and is it worth it?
Is it
Is
worth
it
it?
worth it?
That's it. Is it worth it? Is the health, well-being, peace of mind, is all of that worth it for the money? And I know that, money drives a lot of people. I get it. But I would say just be careful of the decisions that you're making. Are they benefiting your well-being in the long run, or are you staying there just because of the money and just because of the paycheck? And
Yeah.
that's a big one too, because if I had been driven by money, I would have never left my corporate, but I would have been very sick and very unhappy.
And
And
your
so
health, your soul almost dies a very, very slow and
mhm,
painful death
mhm,
in that. And I'm sure you were feeling that. I mean, you hit burnout, so that tells me you were going down that path of
mhm.
like, what am I even doing? Just
Yeah,
um so
yeah.
you said you took the summer to heal. What are
Mhm.
some of the things that you did to start healing that burnout and those feelings?
I love the summer, so I just went outside, took in all the sun that I could, visited people, spent time with loved ones, went to the pool. I just had the freedom to do what I felt like doing in the moment, and that was healing in itself. I had no schedule. I started dancing for myself. I took all the yoga classes I could, all the fitness classes to move my body. I just enjoyed my life and started to find the joy again that was lost. So, if you're in this situation and you're looking for ways to heal, go back to what makes you happy. Go back to what brings you joy. It could just be like I was doing too, reading books again for the pleasure of it. Because when I was working, my brain needed to turn off, so I didn't want to read at all. Right. So in the
Yeah, no, I get that.
summertime, like reading books and again, surrounding yourself with people you love and who lift you up. I found myself when I was experiencing burnout, this was the scariest part for me. I didn't recognize myself anymore, and I wasn't able to be myself in social gatherings and situations. I had
What were you doing
flashes.
instead? Yeah?
I wasn't responding. I was there as a physical person, but I would have flashes where I look back and I wasn't able to have a conversation, or somebody was saying a joke and it took me a while to get it and laugh. I wasn't able to be witty or to contribute to the conversation. Random things that I didn't realize, like I was just kind of there, but mentally and my soul, like you were saying, my soul is maybe dying a slow death because I wasn't able to really feel comfortable and connected. There was a very clear disconnect between my body and my soul. And so that scared me because I was like, wait, I used to be funny. Now I'm not. Or, like I used to be able to like make people laugh. And now I'm just there. I'm a being, but there's nothing going on. There's no substance. So the summer was really about, okay, finding myself again, getting back to the things I enjoyed and spending time with people and being able to be comfortable to let my guard down and to really just be myself again and my authentic self. And then I found my humor, I found my spunk, I found my feistiness that I had lost because I was just kind of flatlining in a sense of
Mhm.
just like I was there, but I wasn't, if that makes sense.
How did you, I know in those first couple of weeks, you must have combated the no schedule thing. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Like it's like the angel and demon on your shoulder, but it's like pre-hippie-ish kind of Sabrina, and then like a very staunch, laced up corporate Sabrina having this intense battle. What did that look like, and how did you manage to let free hippie Sabrina overcome?
In the very beginning, I think I was so exhausted that I embraced the freedom of doing nothing. But after a few weeks, for me, it was later on where I started to feel the need to now, okay, but I'm not busy. I need to be busy. So it kicked in a bit later. Once I think the healing process had gone through and I needed to do what I need to do, then it was like, okay, well, now I need to do something. I need to move. I need to work on something. I need to advance something, right? And in those moments, I just reminded myself, you have no responsibilities right now. You are taking the summer to heal, embrace it. Because when is this ever going to happen again? There was that perspective. You have given yourself the gift of a break in your life, a
Mhm.
break in your job, in your corporate. Take it. So that's something, the perspective and the reframe that helped me to just be in the moment and be okay with not being busy or not being busy in the same way. So yes, maybe I go see a friend or I go for lunch or I go do a class, but the
Not a
stress,
productive, traditional,
yeah,
productive label of busy.
exactly. The productivity, that's what I needed to learn to let go of and say, it's okay because it will come. It will come. So enjoy this moment now that may not ever happen again, where you have a break from life. That's what I had. I had a break from the
Yeah, you did.
responsibilities of life, and I was just able to enjoy, and I think that's what I felt a little unstable with at the beginning because, whoa, you mean like I get to go back to being a kid again and just doing things because I wanna do them and not because I have to do them? So the understanding of the gift I had given myself allowed me to just lean into that a little more and appreciate and be grateful for the break that I had, and then understand that, okay, with time, I'll get to the productivity again. I'll get there again, and it's okay to rest because I needed that recharge. I needed that reset.
Yeah, for sure. So, how do you battle your inner critic and your negative self-talk? That's kind of where my specialty lies in my
Ah,
programs. I've got 3 that are all infused with negative self-talk and catching
yes.
it and stopping it and reframing it. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sure after you had that exhaustive period and then your brain starts going, "We're not being productive. We got to do something." There was some sort of like inner critic battling,
Mhm.
noticing all of that stuff.
Right.
How did you speak to yourself and how do you speak to yourself now?
I used to be very critical. Being a perfectionist, recovering perfectionist, we can call her that, and recovering people pleaser, feeling productive and being in an industry where things needed to be done yesterday and you're just always chasing and trying to be on top of your things, like that kind of adrenaline rush is what used to fuel me and drive me. So shutting that
Yeah.
off was definitely a huge difference for me to feel. So getting slowly back into my own pace was also learning to be gentle with myself. That was huge for me, to stop forcing, to just sometimes sit with myself and say, you know what? I feel like just watching Netflix today. And that's okay, because what I need to do will get done later. So removing the sense of urgency and just honoring what I needed in the moment and what my body needed and needs currently. Not to say that the struggle isn't there, because then I'll be watching a show on Netflix and be like, okay, well, I've binged the entire season now. And now I feel like I've just wasted my day. Okay, let's maybe do a
Yeah.
little bit of email marketing. Okay, just to say that I did a little something. And then, okay, we go back to it. But it's also, again, going back to being gentle with your needs and just listening to, if you need a day off one day to binge an entire series on Netflix, do it. It's all about balance. It's all about harmony. So the struggle is there, but it's the inner critic that also says, okay, you're not a lazy person. There's that as well. Like you've labeled yourself maybe in the moment lazy because you don't feel like doing anything, but that's just your body needing a recharge and a reset. And tomorrow you're going to get back into it. So it's okay to take a break.
Talk about that a little bit from the somatic level, because what I know to be true and what I'm learning about myself now is I lived in survival for so long that
Mhm.
somatically, sometimes if I sit down, it's hard to get back up again because I've now frozen in
Right.
place due to that level of stress. And so like, that's something that I have a hard time balancing is like, yeah, I absolutely need to sit down. I need to like shut my brain off, like you said, and like just zone out, not dissociate, but just not have it
Yeah.
go, go, go. But then also I know, okay, now I've got to get up and move. And sometimes my body's like, nah, we're good. We're staying right here. And so that's caused a big battle internally lately of like, yeah, but I got to do stuff. And my body's like, we're not done yet. And I'm like, but we
Yeah.
sat here for 6 hours. And my body's like, nope, longer. And I'm like, oh my God, just move, just move.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for sure.
It is, and I know exactly that feeling. I feel like that's been happening in the change of seasons maybe as well. I think at this time
Yeah,
of
for
year,
sure.
it takes me a day to just, like, relax, but then I'm in relax mode. So then I need another day to continue the relaxation. And what gets me out of it is, at this point, it's okay. Well, now I have a job. I got to get up and go teach. I got to coach. Right. So sometimes it's not my decision in terms of like, okay, I decide now it's time for me to move, but it's okay. Well, I have no choice. So the struggle there for me is knowing, is getting up and going. But then once I'm in it, then the body, like the adrenaline takes over, the movement takes over, and then I just keep going.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happens at the end of the week. Then I'm like, okay, now I need to come down. Like it's Friday night, let's relax. And then by Saturday evening, I'm finally relaxed. And then Sunday, I'm like, okay, couch potato. And then Monday, got to get up and do it all again. So that's something that personally I'm still trying to find harmony with. I feel like it's difficult because not only is my job physical when I'm teaching dance, but then we're coaching, right? So then it's very emotional, it's very mentally draining. It's a lot of energy that we're giving outwards all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Very much so.
So those moments where you need to replenish and like they say, fill your cup are so pivotal, but they don't always come at the right times. So I'm learning to navigate all of that of like, how can I refill my cup a little quicker sometimes if I don't have the 3 days to recharge? And sometimes just doing nothing is resting, but it's not recharging. You know what I mean?
Right. No, because I
Yeah.
might be resting and my little neurospicy brain is still on the hamster wheel. So I'm not
Yeah.
recharging because my body is like, might be supine, but my brain's like, and then we got to do this, and then we got to do that, and then we got to do this. And I'm
Totally.
like, oh my gosh, please stop.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, it's always song lyrics. Like my brain is never quiet, never, because ADHD. So that's fun. So yeah, even if I'm resting, it's a very rare occasion that I'm actually recharging at the same time. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird that way. And I think it's just, makes me some form of uh, ex- exhausted inside and out, person that
Yeah.
puts on a puts on a non-exhausted coat every now and then takes it off.
Yeah.
But the difference is now is that I'm aware of it,
Mhm.
and before
Mhm.
I wasn't. And
Mhm.
so, like you were saying earlier, like you were just kind of like, ugh, and angry, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what was happening, because I wasn't aware of what I was doing to my body, or
Right.
how my body was feeling, or why it was reacting the way it was, or why my brain wouldn't shut off.
Right.
Uh, and so I was angry and
Mhm.
frustrated and
Mhm.
overwhelmed and resentful, and
Mhm.
all
All
of
the
those things,
things.
because I couldn't shut it off. I couldn't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
And I didn't allow myself either. That was kind of probably the kicker, is I didn't think
Mhm.
I was allowed to.
Yeah.
And nobody else was
Yeah.
giving me permission. They all benefited from it,
Right.
you know? And I think that's the people pleasers lament there, is like, you are constantly emotionally exhausted and probably physically exhausted because you're giving to everyone,
Yeah.
but nobody's giving back to you, including
Right.
yourself.
Right. Yeah, and that makes me think one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's gonna do
Yep.
it for you,
Nope.
right? No one's gonna give you permission to take that break, to make that change. That's something you need to figure out on your own. And that's what's scary too, because then we start asking ourselves the hard questions. And something that you said, Stacey, on my podcast when you were a guest, which I love, one of your many gems that you dropped, choose
Oh
your
my
heart.
gosh.
Yeah.
Choose your heart.
Choose your
Choose your
heart.
heart.
Yeah, because everything's hard. Staying in a
Everything is
situation
hard.
that's uncomfortable but familiar is hard. Changing is hard. Taking a risk is hard, but choose your heart.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Staying the same is hard. Just, worrying about disappointing people is hard. Giving yourself away to the point of exhaustion is hard.
Mhm.
Staying in a relationship that you don't feel valued in is hard.
Mhm.
Leaving a relationship is hard. Like, everything's hard, my friends. Like, especially, when we are watching mass war on
Yeah.
our tiny screens.
Yeah.
It's all hard.
Yeah.
And so you've got to choose your hard. And even more so now, I feel like we have to take time for ourselves, and put the phone down, and put the newspapers down, and don't turn on the TV, and just sit and be, because there are people on the other side of the world that they don't even know if they're going to wake up tomorrow.
Mm.
And so, in honor of that,
Mhm.
because we're able to,
Mhm.
we should do it, because we can.
Yeah.
Because there are people that don't have that luxury. And yet, we are defining ourselves by hustle culture.
Mm. Yeah. Hustle culture. I had to learn to let go of that as well.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
hard. Even
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, it's hard, because
Mhm.
now there's not a CEO breathing down your neck. You're
Mm.
it,
Yeah.
right? There's
Right.
no report deadlines on your SVP's desk.
Right.
It's you. Like
Right.
like
Yeah.
so how do I go from that extreme hustle culture to, like, still having to be accountable, but not
Right.
in that crazy rat race, cortisol driven, adrenaline driven area.
Mhm.
And it's hard to separate yourself from that learning, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. It is
For
difficult.
sure.
But also, again, comes down to being gentle with yourself and, trusting yourself that things will get done. You'll get to where you need to be
Yeah.
and you don't have to force. That was another thing I learned. The forcing is also an indication when there's resistance there that it's not quite right for you. Like if you're
Yeah.
met with resistance, that's the time you can ask yourself, just to be aware, why am I resisting this? Why is it so difficult for me? And sometimes it's just, okay, it's an off day, you just need a little more energy. Cool. But if it's, no, I don't believe in the direction that I'm moving in, or I don't believe in what I'm doing, or it doesn't meet my values, or I'm done and I'm ready for a new chapter, like that's where the signals can help us to determine where we're going and how we can reroute, in a sense, that resistance. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, and I think that people they get scared with that resistance because that means change. And
Uh-huh.
again, you got to choose your heart.
Choose your
You
heart.
want to stay there? That's okay. It's okay if you want to stay in that corporate job, but do it with self-awareness, and say,
Totally.
okay, I am choosing this
Yeah.
because you are. Don't say you're, a victim of circumstance or fate, or it is what it is. That phrase to me, oh, it's such a double-edged sword, right?
I
Like it's a great
know.
phrase, and then it absolutely is a terrible phrase at the same time.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. But that doesn't mean you lay down and die. That's
Exactly.
not
You
you're
always have
not
a
a
choice.
victim of
Yeah.
it,
No.
Yeah, it is what it is. You can't change some things, but there are also some things you can change. And don't just throw up your hands and say, "It is what it is," because is it? Or are you giving your power away because you don't know
Exactly.
what else to do?
Exactly. And remembering you always have a choice. You can always decide a different outcome. Maybe you don't quite know how, but you always have a choice, is taking your power back. So yeah, like you said, Stacey, it is what it is. That's one of the phrases I actually like. I get this reaction to like, ooh, why are we saying this? Why do we not believe in ourselves? Or even if I'm teaching dance to my girls, my teenage students, and they're like, I can't do it. That's another one that I hate. You're
Yeah,
giving away your power, you're giving up before you even start. So how can you take your
yeah.
power back? How can you just try? How can you just one step at a time, little by little? I understand change is overwhelming when we don't know where we're going on top of it and we don't know how we're going to get there. But one small step at a time is all we need just to move forward a little bit.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I hear that in the perfectionistic pattern, right? Of like,
Yeah,
well, I tried it and it didn't work. Okay, well, let's go back to when you were learning to walk. Most of us don't remember it, but a
right.
lot of us have grown up around children subsequently, right? Even if we don't have our own, we've got nieces and nephews or friends that have kids or whatever, whatever. And so think about when you were a baby or when you've watched, other children learn to walk. They don't just stop after the first step. They don't. They try again and they
Yeah.
fall, and then they get up and they fall, and then they get up and they sit on their diaper butt and they scoot and they army crawl, and then they try to take a step again, and then they pull up on the coffee table, and like they don't quit until they're
Yeah.
running around and wreaking havoc in your house. Like then it's hell on wheels, right?
Yeah.
But so, woof,
Yeah.
especially that youngest of mine. This one,
Yeah.
oh man, climbed on everything. Climbed on everything. Um, and it's fascinating to me now because now he's 16 and to be like, "Well, I can't do it." And I'm like, "Bro, you used to climb bookshelves when we told you not to just because you wanted to see if you could. Like, don't tell me you can't do math. Like, I don't, I'm not hearing that stuff." But it's
Mm.
that perfectionistic pattern of, I
Yep.
don't know if I'm going to succeed at this, so I'm not even going to play. And,
Yeah.
and we don't, that came later, my friends. That's not innate in us.
No,
It
it's a
was
conditioned
given to
behavior.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give it back. Maybe you
Doesn't
know who
belong.
gave
Yeah.
it to you. Maybe you don't. Who cares? Give it back
Mhm.
and just say, I'm going to try
Right.
until,
Agreed. Keep
until
trying.
you
Yeah.
decide it's not for you,
Right.
truly, right? It's like
Yeah.
the resistance is there. This isn't for me. I really know that this isn't for me. Or you succeed on some level.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a
Totally.
success because either you do or you learn.
Exactly.
There's no
That's
failure
true.
in that.
There's no failure. And failure, now that we're talking about it, is another thing that holds us back, right? We don't want to fail. But can we look at failure as just an opportunity to learn? Doesn't have to be something that's bad. And that too has been a
Mhm.
conditioned behavior, right? We're conditioned to believe that failure is the worst thing in the world. But how can we look at it as an opportunity to grow and to to be a better version of you and to learn. And that's where I feel like mindset comes into play, that growth mindset, right? If you have a fixed
Yeah.
or a closed mindset, you're in that perfectionist pattern, you're not trying anything, nothing's working, you're not even putting yourself in the shoes of someone who believes they can do it. You're just like, ah, it's not possible, I give up, we're done.
Yeah.
And that's what you will get out of life. You
Yeah.
get what
You're
you put
right.
in, right? Or you believe
You're
whatever
right.
you believe, you become.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because so one of my certifications is in positive intelligence, and if you're a coach and you haven't taken that course, highly recommend go take it. Um, and one of the premises in positive intelligence is how can I turn this negative thing, right?
Mhm.
It's not negative nor positive, it just is. That
Mhm.
isn't is what it is. It the situation isn't situation. How you
Right.
feel about it is what makes it negative or positive. And so
Love that.
how can I take this situation and turn it into either a gift or an opportunity? And so let's say you failed. Let's say you it didn't work out the way you thought it would.
Right.
Maybe it's another relationship or another job or another business or whatever that was. It didn't work out the way you thought it would. Okay. How could you turn this into a gift or opportunity? And
Love
if
that.
you can find that in even the hardest situations. So,
Mhm.
those of you that don't know, I lost my brother to unaliving himself 7.5 years ago. And I fell into a huge depression for 2 years. There was nothing of me. I was an empty shell. I literally was a robot, getting up, going to work, coming home, you know, disassociating, not knocking out, not like, you know, down, shutting down. Like I was out. There was no Stacy here. She was, I don't even know what she was. And so after I started climbing out of that hole, um, I thought, okay, it's 2019 now, 2019, end of 2019. What am I gonna
Mhm.
do with
Mm.
what am I gonna do with this? How can I honor my brother? And I ended up
Mm.
here coaching like 4 months
Yeah.
later. It fell into my lap and I was like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I would be here right now without him.
Mhm.
Would I give it all back for a second with him? Absolutely, I would.
Mhm.
Absolutely, I would. But
Mhm.
is that reality? No.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna turn this into the best damn opportunity. It's not a gift that my brother has gone, but it's an opportunity for me
Opportunity.
to continue and honor him in the absolute best form that I can,
Yeah.
and maybe help
Yeah.
others, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you could figure out what is the gift or opportunity in this situation,
Mhm.
um, man, that's a powerful mindset to have
Oh,
in that
yeah.
growth mindset space. It just boosts it. It just boosts
Definitely.
it for sure. For sure. Talk about your program since we're in mindset right now. And I want to
Yeah.
know.
Mindset. I love working on mindset because I feel like it is, like you're saying, Stacey, so powerful once we tap into that growth mindset. It affects all areas of your life. It affects,
Yep.
as much self-love as your relationships, as your career, as just your overall well-being. So if you can find a way to look at these situations and reframe them, I like to use that word of reframing. It allows you to also look at your patterns. What have you been conditioned to believe and to do through your life? And if that's not no longer working for you or not getting you the results that you would like, it's an opportunity for you to reframe and to rewrite your story. So my program is called Rewrite Your Life. And it's a 12-week program all about taking those opportunities to create your new chapter, to set the goals, to figure out together how we get there, change your habits, reprogram your brain to look at the opportunities in all the ways. And the people that I've worked with have ranged from wanting to change careers to just, developing better eating habits and becoming more healthy, becoming a morning person. So the range of change varies, but we meet you where you're at. We meet you exactly where you're at and figure out what your needs are. And you're also at a point where you need the guidance, because I totally believe we could do this on our own, but it's hard. So
It is
why
hard.
not get the help if you can? Right? Why not get
Yeah.
someone who's been through it, who can help get you to point A to point B a little quicker and with a little less struggle. So that's what I offer to my clients, just the framework of let's get there. And in 12 weeks, you have a roadmap of how to get into the next chapter of your life. And again, it's giving you that power back. It's allowing you to really make the decisions, to ask yourself the hard questions, to tackle those limiting beliefs, because we all have them, but to be aware. And when they come up, how could you rewrite them? How could you reframe them? What can you say to yourself instead of holding yourself back? How can you push yourself forward? So, empowering you, giving you the courage and the confidence to take those next important steps in your life. And you can find out more information on my website, which is my name, sabrinadelduca.com. So I do one-on-one coaching with that program. I also, from time to time, offer group coaching, which is kind of like a 4-week in and out on a specific topic. Um, yeah, that's what my program is all about.
I love it. I love group coaching so much because the amount of epiphanies that happen due to one of the other group E's, like saying something that, like if you've got an extrovert and an introvert, right? And the introvert just isn't comfortable, doesn't want to speak up, but the extrovert does, then the introvert learns because the extrovert spoke up. I love group coaching and the normalization that happens of like,
Yes.
oh, I'm not crazy. This person's doing it too, or she feels the same way I do. And I thought it
Yeah.
was just me. Y'all, we are not the only ones in the world. There are 8 billion of us. 8 billion. You are not the only one that feels the way you feel. That's had the thoughts that you had, that has
Right.
had the travesties that you've had. You are not alone. And yet we feel like that,
We
right? We
do.
self-isolate because we think, "Oh, I'm the only one and I'm so ungrateful and I'm just a terrible person." And no, you're not. You're
No.
not. And and I say this all the time and I just want to illustrate this because Sabrina has been vulnerable today. Get yourself a coach or a therapist who say that they still have things to learn, who say that they're still on their healing path,
Hmm.
because that tells me that they are super self-aware and super insightful into what their patterns are, programs are that they have yet to master or change, right? If you talk to somebody and they say, I am healed, run. They are not self-aware in the slightest or just enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to thank you for being vulnerable today about where you're still struggling, because I think
Hmm.
that it makes you relatable and it allows people to know that uh you know I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect.
Hmm.
Here's where I still struggle.
Hmm.
But the difference is I know I still struggle there. And I'm actively working every time it comes up to
Yes.
change that pattern. And so that education in itself, you guys, is priceless. It's priceless. Um, and it can't be taught. That's the thing. Like,
Hmm.
I couldn't teach you to do that work. I could give you the foundation, I could
Right.
give you the tools, but I can't implement that for you.
Hmm.
You have to implement that. And the fact that you continue to implement it, continue to choose it, I think
Hmm.
that that is so powerful. And I just want to point that out for those that don't know that about coaches or therapists.
Hmm.
Because I think there's a misconception out there of like, they have to be through the process.
Nope.
I will forever be in process.
Oh, yeah.
I
It's
will
a journey.
forever
Yeah.
be in process. And the
Hmm.
day that I am not in process anymore is the day I take my last breath.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. And we can be a little more ahead of where you are, right? So we have that
Yeah.
experience, but I agree that it's a journey, it's a healing journey, and it's not linear. There are ups and downs, but it's in those ups and downs that you learn more about yourself and you're able to apply the tools and you're able to see where you stand, and that awareness and that clarity kicks in. So I embrace the ups and downs, which is very different in my past life of being a perfectionist
For
where
sure.
I would be so demanding on myself, but now I'm like, okay,
Yep.
I embrace the ups and downs because hey, it's an opportunity to apply everything I've learned and what I've been working on and see how can I get through this experience a little quicker this time. And so thank you for saying that because it's true. We're all on our own healing journeys that are continuous. We're a little more ahead of where we were, and that's progress, but it's a work
Mhm.
in progress. It never ends.
Yeah, it'll forever be a work in progress. And that's okay, because like you said, in my previous life, I absolutely would be like, damn it, Stacy, why can't you just fill in the blank, right? Why
Right.
can't you just whatever? And it's like, okay, all right, frustrated. I'm frustrated, but here it is again. So
Mhm.
clearly there's something in here that I have
Mhm.
not learned just yet. So let me look at this again. It doesn't mean I don't repeat patterns. It doesn't mean that I don't make the same mistakes.
Right.
I do. I'm human. I do.
Right.
There's a lot of freaking programming in here. A
Oh, yeah.
lot that I
Oh,
have to
yes.
undo. But I get to look at it and go, "Oh, here this is again. Okay, last time clearly it wasn't I didn't do all the things
Right.
or I didn't do the right things, whatever. So let me do the things again. Let me do some
Yeah.
different things and see if I can switch this up again." And but before I would like push it down and I'd be
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
don't have time for this. Go
Oh, yeah.
away. And those problems don't go away. They just get
No.
bigger or you internalize them. I've got chronic pain. I
Yeah.
absolutely know that's from internalizing the bullshit in my life. I
Totally.
already know. I already know. And so, it takes years, but it'll come.
Mhm.
It'll
Mhm.
absolutely happen.
Yeah.
Because you can't not deal. That's not a thing.
No.
That's
Pushing it
that's not a
down.
thing.
I was someone who didn't like to feel my emotions, and unfortunately, it was, modeled behavior where I didn't know how to express or feel my emotions, and I
Mm,
think that's reality for a lot of people too. So, learning to externalize and to really just allow yourself to feel is so healing in itself because when you push it down, yes, you develop chronic pain and chronic illness, and you become emotionally constipated. And then you lash out at the worst possible
yep.
time, and I know we've all had that experience
Been there,
where
done
we
that.
immediately regret, but it's because all of the emotions are so stuck, they have nowhere to go, and then all it is one little situation and you explode.
Yep.
So, even
Yeah.
learning to just, like, feel your emotions, that's huge, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling and to work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add a caveat there because it's definitely my experience.
Mhm.
Intellectualizing your emotions is not the same as feeling them. And I didn't know that for
Yes.
a very, very, very long time within therapy. I didn't know that. And one day I saw somebody say that and I went to my therapist and I was like, I think I've been intellectualizing my emotions this whole time with you. And we had been years into therapy. And she said, "Oh, finally." And I was like,
Ah.
"Oh, thanks a lot. We've got that we've got that relationship."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I could like, Stacy, how could I tell you that? How could I tell you
Yeah.
that?" And I was like, "All right, that's fair. That's fair." So
Yes.
intellectualizing is, "Oh, I should feel sad about this in this situation, so I'm feeling sad." Feeling them is
Right.
like there is something just as guttural within me that needs to come out. And
Right.
maybe I don't know what this label is, but I'm going to allow it to come out
Right.
and just be okay with whatever comes.
Mhm.
And that's not always easy because it doesn't
No.
always come at the most convenient time,
No.
um, by any stretch,
No.
So look that up,
Yeah.
intellectualizing versus feeling your emotions. If you don't know what the difference is, then you're probably intellectualizing
Yeah.
them. And that's okay. We're not taught.
No.
We're not taught
No.
how to feel our feelings.
No.
Um, we're
In a
just
safe
told
way.
what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you
Absolutely.
for saying that because I fell into that trap as well, intellectualizing my feelings. And the same thing happened. I went to therapy and I spent years on a situation and it was all talking through and analyzing and over analyzing.
Yep.
But I was like, but why do I still feel weird? Like, why do I still feel stuck? Until I learned that, oh, hey, someone else brought it to my attention. No, but your the feelings are still there. They're just because you talk through them doesn't mean they're out. You need to feel it. You need to let it go. And letting
Yeah.
go can look different in so many different ways, but like how can you let those feelings go? How can you actually feel all of those emotions in a raw and honest way? So there's definitely a big difference between the two. And we all have at one point or another fallen into the trap of intellectualizing. And I still see it. And sometimes I
Mhm.
catch myself. I'm like, but no, I don't need to overanalyze this. I just need to feel it. Like I just need to scream. I don't need to figure out why do I want to scream and what is making me want to scream. And
That part. Yeah, that part. That part is like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I need to scream? Do I really need to scream? No, just freaking scream.
let's do it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Just do it. If you want to
Yeah.
cry, cry. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Don't need to
You know,
justify, right? Don't need to
but
justify
we
why you're,
do.
yeah, but we
My
do.
God,
We do.
we have to justify everything as women. We have to justify breathing,
Yeah.
like, and then apologize for it. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I was breathing too loud. What? Just breathe,
Just
girlfriend. Who
yeah, do
cares?
you.
Please, by any like Betty. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mhm.
um, Sabrina, I knew this was going to be an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for blessing me with your presence and your time and your energy and your vulnerability. Yeah, I just respect the shit out of you and I think you're amazing.
Aw,
So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
thank you. The feeling is mutual. Thank you so much, Stacey. What an honor to be in your presence, to be on your show, to share
Oh
with you.
gosh.
And you've created a safe space so that I did feel I was able to be vulnerable. So thank you for that.
I deeply appreciate that. That is probably the highest compliment anybody can give me. So thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Tell the people where to find you. You guys need to go reach out to her. So it's scrolling at the bottom, but one
Yes.
more time,
Yes.
for the friends, louder for the friends in the back.
Yay. So definitely on Instagram, as you see it scrolling, I have my personal Instagram, which is Duchess Sabrina. I have my coaching, my dance, my cats, my life, all of that. And Get Into Flow podcast, which is the podcast Instagram page. You can also find me on my website, sabrinadelduca.com. That's more information on my programs and how to connect and reach me. And of course, if it's social media, send me a DM, contact me, comment on my stuff, like my stuff, and we'll start a little conversation in the social media world because I love that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, go follow the Duchess Sabrina for sure. She puts out these amazing dance reels and it makes me so happy every time I see them. I'm just like,
Oh,
"Oh, get
thank
it,
you.
girl. Get it, girl. Get it, girl." Yeah, so if you need a little serotonin boost, definitely go check her out. You guys do all the YouTube things, do all the social media things, like, follow, subscribe. Y'all already know it's 2023. Why am I having to say this? You already know. Please do the things. And I just want to again thank Sabrina for coming and remind you guys that it literally takes just a few short minutes of mindfulness, meditation, journaling, presence, self awareness, insight, whatever that looks like for you. It only takes a few short minutes a day to physically rewire your brain to not be such in a negative place, to see things as neutral and or positive. You just have to put in the effort. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon and have a great day.